original striped bass hatchery was on Cooper River, and that's where the discharge from the Santee Cooper system was at that time. The rediversion project transferred 85% of the discharge from Cooper River over to the Santee River. So we moved the hatchery over here so that we would be close to the source of the brood fish. We found through the years that the closer we are and the least amount of handling, the better the females respond. So we really concentrate our efforts on getting the females as easily as possible with the least amount of stress, and that's why we use the electro fishing boat that you were on this morning. We can take them, right out of the boat. They've recovered, they're conscious, and they did very well.
I think that was a female.
The fish that you dipped this morning, they would not normally spawn in confinement, so we have to induce labor by giving the females an injection of hormone, chorionic gonadotropin. Tonight, about 2 o'clock, we'll inject those fish with the proper dosage of the hormone and put them in a tank, back in their own tank. And then 30 hours from that time of the injection, we'll dip the fish up, run a small glass tube up into the ovary and collect a sample of eggs. By looking at those eggs under the microscope, we can predict when that female fish is ready to spawn. So at the time we think is proper for a particular female to spawn, we look for a number of other things, such as the way the fish is behaving in the tank, whether the vent area is swollen and protruding, and then how many eggs we get out of the fish when we apply pressure, and also by the actual feel of the belly itself. We can tell if we're in that 45-minute window of opportunity, and we like to get it into the 15-minute window that's the very best. If we can do that, then we get very good success rate in the hatchery. So if it's a particular fish time to spawn, we will put her in a bath of MS222, which is generally in the same family as some of the injections you get at the doctor's office, at the dentist's office, and like Novocaine. And that'll put the female to sleep for about 10 minutes. While she's unconscious, one man will hold the jaw and the other person will hold the tail, stretch the fish out over a spawning pan, and the third person will press the eggs out of the ovary. We average about 500,000 eggs per female. Once we get them out, we then bring the fish in here to weigh and measure her. Of course, when we collected the females this morning, we also collected some males, and at this time of the year they are flowing, so we do not have to inject them. They're ready to spawn. So we dip up some males, and oftentimes we put them to sleep also, and then we press them and get the spermatozoa mixed with the eggs in the pan without adding any water. We use a wing feather from wild turkey to mix the egg. We found that it is stiff enough to give us the mixture that we need, but it's also soft enough that it doesn't crush the egg, which is very delicate at that stage. Once we add water, the spermatozoa will start dying in about 45 seconds after we add water. So we want to get the mixture of eggs and spermatozoa together, mechanically then add water, and we get the fertilization in the pan. And the feather there just gives us a current that kind of simulates what would be in nature, as the fish were spawning in the river. Now we're going to let this settle. The eggs being heavier than water will sink to the bottom. We'll pour off the water, decant the water out of it, so we have fertilized eggs in the pan. We'll take that inside the hatchery and put 100,000 eggs approximately in each jar. We average about 60% fertilization here at the hatchery, as compared to, we're estimating anywhere from 1 to 5% in nature. Of course, that's 100,000 eggs in that small cup. In the next 2 hours, these eggs will what we call water harden. They'll absorb water and swell up until that 100,000 fills the jar up about 2/3 or 3/4 full.
That's the stage I'm used to seeing them at.
That's right. That's exactly right. And of course, so now you have to be careful during this first couple hours to make sure these eggs don't bubble out. So we have to keep someone on the floor full time just watching the eggs, make sure they're not losing them. We produce about 25 million fry from here, and the majority of them go to the Dennis Wildlife Center, where we have 55 ponds that we raise the fish into what we call fingerling stage, only an inch and a half or so in length. 2.5 million of those go into Santee Cooper Reservoir. We also release fish into Murray, Lake Thurman, Clark Hill, Greenwood, Lake Watery, and a number of coastal streams. Upstate reservoirs have no natural reproduction of striped bass at all. The striped bass eggs are heavier than water, and unless they are spawned in a flowing stream that's going to keep the eggs bubbling for the 2 days it really takes for the fish to hatch, the eggs to hatch, then the eggs will come down, settle into the lake, and suffocate. One thing I'd like to mention is the males and females that we use here at the hatchery. All the adult fish go back into the same river we caught them out of. If 1 year, in fact, the last 4 years we've had some drought conditions, we had to go up to Lake Watery to get our brood fish. We would bring them down here, spawn them, and take the adults back up to the lake and release them up there. If we do any work on any other species other than or strain other than the Santee Cooper strain, we keep those separate, the adults and the fry and the juveniles separate throughout the whole process, and then get them back to their native streams. The department spends about $500,000 annually on this program. We have information from an independent source that evaluates the impact of the fishery, and the latest information is that $500,000 generates $94 million in return to the state.